So in today's lesson, we're going to look at creating contact sheets and how we do create contact sheets. Now, it's one thing using the camera and taking lots of photos, but it's the other part of the process is actually being able to recognize a successful image. How do you narrow it down? You've taken 400 images, then you want to narrow it down to a select few. And when I do my contact sheets, I encourage my students to say select 32 strong images. So it's thinking about, you want to think about, how clearly they communicate your idea. The quality of the pictures, are they nice and sharp? Think about the camera techniques that you use. You want your contact sheets to show a bit of variety as well. There's no point just putting all the images so they look identical. Even put those that haven't been successful, but you're willing to show that you've tried it. That's really, really important. So you want quite a variety of images, but you want it to look like a coherent set. Don't just put random things in, okay? I don't want to see your pet dog in your contact sheet unless it's intentional. So think about, it being quite clear and coherent about your ideas. And then when you've put your contact sheet together and you've automated it through Photoshop, then once you've printed it out, I want you to then write little notes and annotations around the pictures, like good framing. Draw on it, come on, be brave, crop, show those markings out, scribble out areas, say, okay, interesting idea, but not, maybe the lighting isn't very good or the lighting is good. So start to show that as a sort of working document so that you are constantly reviewing and refining your work, and it's evident not just through your photos but through your working outs and your sketching on top of those. And then when you write your contact sheet evaluation, you need to think about what was your aim? What was the purpose of the shoot? Make that clear. What were the positives of the shoot? How well was it? What techniques did you apply? Did they effectively communicate your idea? And then also think about the areas that you need to improve. And then that can lead into your next shoot. It's all about progressing, moving forward. And remember, you need to show the evidence that you've got your shutter speed, aperture and ISO. It's really important. So we need to have the technical data alongside that. It was not a happy accident. You planned that, you're in control of the camera, and you could set the camera appropriately to take those images. So always make sure you make that explicitly clear. And also show thumbnails of the research artists that relate to your shoots, who's inspired you. And even better, a sketch of your setup, whether you've done it, taking your photos in the studio, if you've taken them outside. It just, it just makes it much more holistic and explains your intentions and makes that that much clearer when you're communicating it through your work. Okay, so let's go and have a look at, contact sheets and how I go about selecting images. Okay, thank you. So in this lesson, we're going to look at how we can automate and create contact sheets using Photoshop. So the first thing we need to do is we go to File, and then we go down here to Automate, and you go to Contact Sheet 2. Okay, now this dialog will open, this dialog box, and then you need to go to Choose, and then I've picked this folder here. So these are Katie's selected images. So this is a photo shoot I did recently in lockdown, and I've got 32 JPEGs. Okay, you need to make sure that they're only JPEGs that are in this folder. Now I've set it, so it's set at 28 for width, 19 for height, and most importantly, resolution is 300. This means that you'll be able to print the contact sheets and the picture quality will be lovely and sharp. Now I set it as 4x4, and then I've deliberately clicked this rotate for best fit because then your pictures will be slightly larger. So that's all fine, and then I literally press OK, and then I just allow Photoshop to automate them. Takes a little bit of time, have to be patient, Try not to use anything else on your laptop at the same time, because that's going to slow it down. And as this is the Creative Cloud Photoshop, so it's relying on the internet. So that's just automating, and I'm going to film it as it's automating so you get an idea of how long it takes. Probably got time to fix yourself a cup of tea.
You done recording?
And there we have one of the contact sheets. So that's the second contact sheet that's just appeared. And if I just click here, we have the first contact sheet. So, and you can see it's just rotated, so it works particularly well if they're all the portraits, but you've got landscapes in there too. And it's as simple as that to create a contact sheet. And then you just will probably need to reduce the size when you need to be able to print them, but you've got to make sure that when you save it, you look at your resolution. Your resolution, you need that to be 300, okay? Certainly not the size that it was, and you see here the difference, 137 megabytes to 21, which is much more manageable. So I will OK that, and then that's that size, and I do exactly the same for this one. So I go to image size, and you can see it's 762. And that's how you create a contact sheet. So it's very simple, and then I would simply then go into File, Save As, and make sure you know where you're going to put it. So maybe you want it on your desktop, create a new folder. So it's got contact sheet here, Photoshop. Now I'm going to save it as a JPEG. So that then flattens the layers as well, and it means it's just easier to share. So you can rename it. So I can just call this Katie Contact Sheet 1, and then that's that. And then I just do the same for the second one. There we go. You make sure that it's maximum quality. Sometimes this cursor will appear here. Make sure you always take it to maximum quality. Now you can see that's 4.5 megabytes, and then I OK that. And then I do exactly the same with this one. So I go to Save As, and then Katie, and then Contact Sheet 2. Make sure you change it from Photoshop the PSD file to JPEG. I only use this JPEG, I don't use the other two. Click on that, make sure it's going to the same place, so it's on my desktop, and save. And again, make sure this is maximum quality, and OK. And that's it. And now we should be able to see those on the desktop. And the next stage is then deciding how to edit and select those key images on your contact sheet. So you've created your contact sheets. So the next stage is when you need to create your evaluations. So firstly, I wanted to emphasize again the importance of your contact sheet evaluations. So this fits in the assessment criteria with the AO3 objective. So it's all about recording your ideas, observations, and reflecting critically on your work and your progress. So these contact sheets are key because they represent you recording your ideas through the camera, and then you have to select your key images, and then you have to explain why you've picked these images and how successful your shoot was and how you'd like to progress your ideas. So again, we're looking at the A grade bound at the moment, and within that we look at the exceptional ability to record ideas, observations and insights relevant to intentions. And then again, it's about reflecting critically on work and progress. So you really need to think about, being very reflective, evaluating your work to think about what's worked well and how do I want to move forward. So this flowchart sort of shows what you will be covering in your contact sheet. So it's about, how successfully did your photos communicate your concept, your ideas? How have you used the camera to experiment with your ideas and to represent your ideas through different camera techniques or lighting techniques if you've used studio? And again, who's inspired you? Who's influenced your ideas? So this was my original contact sheet of Katie, like so, and we have the two sheets. So we always have at least 32 images selected. And then around your images, you need to mark them clearly to show your selection, to demonstrate that you've seen which are the most successful images. And then you need to mark and write around your pictures about the camera settings. So if you've used the shallow depth of field, mention that. Use the keywords shallow depth of field, large depth of field. Did you use a fast shutter speed or a slow shutter speed? Always refer back to the formal elements. If there's a good use of colour, line, tone, any of those, then really emphasise those so that you can recognise those within your work. And also think about the visual elements, the vantage point, the framing, angle of view. Have you used natural apertures? And also think about the lighting. Is it a good even exposure? Or is it overexposed or underexposed? You don't just have to highlight or write around the successful images. If there's some that are unsuccessful, then state why. That will again award you more marks because you are being able to be reflective and critically judging your work. So you do this for both sheets, so you reflect on both of them, but you only need to write, so you just write a few little key words around the images, like so. So I've got an example here by one of my old students, Rao. So she's written key points around the images and then she started to draw as well. The AQA board love to see more drawing involved in the contact sheets. Although we're doing photography, drawing's a very relevant skill because it's showing how you're going to crop and select your pictures. So make it look obvious of your selections, and don't be afraid to scribble all over your contact sheets if it's relevant, good points that you're raising.
then let's see those in your contact sheet. Really brings a sketchbook to life, makes it look more personal as well. So your aim of a shoot is you need to then start to think about what were the intentions for your shoot and how successful was your shoot, and do you think your images communicate your ideas, and how has your research influenced you and your ideas. So always draw back, referring back to your research, really make it evident that the work has influenced, and reinforce that through your contact sheet evaluation. And how have you experimented with the camera and during the shoot, and explain why. And then the techniques, what camera techniques did you use? What lighting techniques did you use? And then you need to think about improving. The sketchbook's a journey, it's all about progression. So what do you want to do for your next shoot to develop your project and ideas? And be honest, if you feel your shoot could be improved, explain what you could do next time. And remember to always include your thumbnail images to visually link your research artist's work. So like so here, so we've got Rouse here, so she's got her aim of shoot. She's clearly referenced the two artists. We've got two lovely big images here. And it just reinforces that, because I look at this and then I look at her contact sheets and you can see clear connections with the techniques that she's applied to her work. She's talked about the positives of what's worked well. She's talked about the mood within the images. She's talked about the technique she's used. She talked about the camera she's used, the lens, and she's also made sure she's included the aperture setting and the shutter speed. And she's also talked about the lighting that she's used and the effects of that with the direct light and the diffuse light. So, and then emphasising she's used a tripod to take the long exposures. And then she's mentioned what she wants to do for her next shoot. So it's very sort of clear, but it's very reflective. And then I would like you all to basically again reinforce the camera settings, and obviously you'll be using manual, so the aperture setting, the shutter speed, and a little photo of the camera. And then I really encourage you to do sketches, and honestly, it's fine. Rao is a very accomplished artist, but she's just done a little stick figure. That's all you need at this stage. But you can see that where the model is, the backdrop, and where the position of the lights were here, so the soft boxes, and where the camera is, and it's on a tripod. So that's really nice and clear. So that's really all you need to do for your contact sheets evaluations. So just make sure you answer those points as clearly as you can, and again, that will really pull your mark up. So make it personal, and you can also photograph the setup. You could have a photo of the setup and a drawing, but make sure that you don't forget to include this, because it's all about emphasizing your camera knowledge and your confidence of using the camera, and that everything is deliberate and well planned out before you've actually done the shoot. All right, so thank you for that. Okay.